So today I'm going to be reviewing the Google Pixel 8. And I think this smartphone is very interesting because on one end, they raised the price from the Google Pixel 7 last year. Now, they did improve some things with this phone. And you might be wondering, is this phone worth buying? How does it compare with the Google Pixel 8 Pro or even some higher end smartphones? And is this phone a really good value or is it a waste of my money? Well, I'm going to let you know my full thoughts right now in this review. So with all that being said, let's get right into it. So if I'm going to summarize the Pixel 8 and how it compares to the Google Pixel 8 Pro, I would say this does have a lower resolution screen, but it does have 120 Hz this year, so you don't have to worry about a difference there. So you're really just getting a smaller screen, a lower resolution screen, and you're getting a camera. The main camera is the same camera as the Pixel 8 Pro, so you're not gonna miss a lot with this main camera. Like, it's a really good main camera, and this has an awesome design. It's very similar to the Pixel 8 Pro in almost every way, and you really just have a few compromises in this phone. The Google Pixel 8 Pro does have this nice matte back, and this is a little bit of a glossy back, of course, so you're either gonna love that or you won't. I personally like it, and I really like the colors that they have on the Google Pixel 8 lineup. I actually like the colors a little more than the colors you could find on the Pixel 8 Pro. And I do love this Google Pixel visor. I know some people don't, but I really do like it because I don't like my phone rattling around on a table. I like the fact that it goes all the way across so my phone can sit nice and flat when I do set it down. I also like the flat screen here. Now, the Google Pixel did have a flat screen on the Pixel 7, but I just like how the screen is flat. I could put a tempered glass on it. The design is very premium. I don't notice much of a significant difference between this and the Google Pixel 8 Pro as far as the design. Now, the place you might notice the difference is going to be in the display. So the resolution is going to be a little lower in the display. It's 2400 by 1080, and it's a 6.2 inch display. So I love that. I am someone who hates the trend of going to larger and larger smartphones. And the smaller smartphones nowadays, like 6.1 inches is about as small as a smartphone gets. Sadly, I wish we would get smaller smartphones even than that, but there's just not a lot that are out there. Well, this is 6.2 inches, so it's a lot more reasonable than 6.7 inches to me. So I do like that, but some people want a nicer display. They want a display that has a little bit of a better resolution, and that's where the Google Pixel 8 Pro is going to shine, but I still think the resolution does look very good on this display either way. Plus, it's a gorgeous AMOLED display, and we do get a lot more brightness this year than we did get in the Pixel 7. Now, it's a little bit less bright than the Pixel 8 Pro, but I really don't think anyone's going to notice. So the peak brightness is 2000 nits. I don't think your average person is even going to use 1000 or 1500 nits on a daily basis. 2000 nits is a ton of peak brightness. So I think the brightness levels are very good on this phone. They did upgrade a lot of things with the display, and it does look awesome. So yes, we do get an OLED display. This year we get 120 Hz. So last year was 90 Hz. I love how we get 120 Hz, a buttery smooth experience with a gorgeous, bright display. Maybe not quite as good as the Pixel 8 Pro, but it's pretty darn close in my opinion. You deal with a little bit of worse resolution, but you do put it on a smaller display, so things are going to look a little nicer in that sense because you're not stretching it all out. So I think the display, it does look very nice in my experience with it. Now, if you go to performance, it is the Tensor G3 processor. So that processor, it is very controversial because, again, Tensor processors tend to run a little warm, and this is a smaller phone. You might wonder how warm it's getting. So I do think there are some improvements to the thermals, but they're not perfect. And those people who say that the thermals aren't bad or that the phone never gets hot, well, if you do game on very high-end settings for an extended period of time, you may notice the phone feeling a little warm. Or if you're recording 4K 60 frames per second for a lot of time on your rear camera, well, sure, the phone is going to feel a little bit warm, but it's not going to burn you. It's not going to be overheating, but it will be a little warmer than something like a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor. Now, we do only have 8 gigabytes of RAM in the base model, technically 8 gigabytes of RAM in all the models on this phone. So you do get a little bit less RAM than the Google Pixel 8 Pro, but this phone, it doesn't really matter that you get a little bit less RAM, in my opinion. I think the performance that you get in a $500 smartphone is good enough for 95% of the users. And for what most people do, you're not going to notice any big differences. Now, some processors out there, like the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, like the iPhones of the world, they might be slightly better at very, very high-end gaming, or they might be slightly better at a couple of different things. But day to day, the animations are so smooth on Google Pixels. I love the animations. I love how everything feels when I'm scrolling through it. I can go from app to app to app without worrying about anything. Everything's opening up very, very fast. I'm not getting any stutters. Now, the one thing that I do experience is better AI. I experience better software features. Now, this phone is missing some software features that the Google Pixel 8 Pro has, and it's not much, but it's missing a little bit. It's missing the Pro controls and the camera app. Maybe that'll come at another time, I don't know. But it's also missing the video boost. That is a new feature that's coming eventually to the Pixel 8 Pro, but it's not even out yet. But it's going to come later as a feature drop where they improve the video quality online in the cloud. They'll take your video, improve it, and send it back to you. Well, that is a feature that won't affect many users at all, but I actually think the Google Pixel 8 is better than the Galaxy S23. I think it's a tremendous phone, and a big reason why is a lot of the things that the processor does. The AI is so good, and the normal experiences I have on my phone are just really, really nice. Like when I look at spam calls, that is a huge issue, and I have a lot less spam calls here. My voice dictation is better. So just like the Google Pixel 8 Pro and the things I mentioned there, so many of those software features just make this phone a lot better in my experience than something like a Galaxy phone. I get there's extra features on Galaxy phones that make it really unique too. The Galaxy S23 is a tremendous phone, but I do think you're going to get a little bit of better battery life here. It's a 4,575 milliamp battery, and even though the processor isn't quite as efficient as the S23, you are getting so much more battery life that I don't think it's really going to matter, and I do think that your battery life will be a little bit better day to day in this. I was getting around 6 to 7 hours screen on time on this phone and getting very, very good battery life most days. I wasn't having any big signal issues, and the camera on this phone, the main camera is amazing. When I take photos of my kids, when I take photos of my family, there is not very much shutter lag, and when I take photos with a Samsung, even the S23 Ultra, the shutter lag is a little bit worse on those phones, but when I take point and shoot photos of my family with how crazy they could be and my young kids, I get much better photos on the Google Pixel 8. The photos are tremendous. So I love the photos that I get on the Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8 Pro. I think this is the best camera, and that's the thing. For $600, you could get the same camera, the same main camera that you get in the $1,000 Google Pixel 8 Pro. And in my opinion, you're going to get the best camera. It's roughly tied. Everyone has differences of opinion. Some people prefer the Galaxy photos. Some people prefer the photos in this camera. But the main camera lens in the Galaxy S23 Ultra, at least, I know the S22 is a little bit of a worse lens, but the Galaxy S23 Ultra, if you compare that main lens to this main lens, I think you'll get similar quality photos, but I do prefer the photos in the Pixel on most days. That is amazing. And when you compare that to the iPhone, you got to spend $800 for the iPhone 15, and keep in mind that phone has a 60 hertz display, and I know people say it's not a big deal and no one will notice. Well, guess what? Google Pixel phones have a 120 hertz, amazing looking display with like 2,000 nits of brightness. And some people are saying iPhones couldn't do that in their main. It would be so much more expensive, as if the billion-dollar company should really have to worry about that. And 120 hertz, when you experience it, I know a lot of people don't care about it, but when you experience it, it's a big deal. But they do turn that feature off right outside of the box. You do have to turn it on yourself in the settings. But when you do, you're going to experience a super smooth phone, and I get gorgeous photos, and I also get gorgeous 4K videos too. The 4K video is much improved on this phone, and just like the Pixel 8 Pro, if you're using the main lens, I would argue this is maybe slightly below the iPhone 15 as far as video quality, but it's right there with the S23 Ultra, and it's much, much better than the Google Pixel 7 video quality. It's super good. Some people even say it's better than the iPhone. Some people say this has the best video out of any smartphone. And to get that in a $600 package is huge. So overall, when I look at this phone, it is tremendous. Android 14 is great. I love it. Now it's 27 watt charging, but this phone has reverse charging, by the way, reverse wireless charging to charge other devices. Now, I did want to add this to the video. It's a little bit of a late addition, but I did want to talk about a couple different things that are good and bad. One thing is the audio eraser feature. And one thing about this room that I'm in, it's got these lights that are buzzing right now. It's got some things that are in the background. But if you use the audio eraser after the fact, one thing you're going to be able to find is that it can really cut down on those noises. So this part of the video, I did actually use the audio eraser tool on it. So hopefully you could hear a little bit of a difference. It's really nice that you can edit your audio after the fact so that you could still get some nice sounding videos. It's not perfect, but I do think it does improve your videos. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention to this late edition, of course, is the fact that the fingerprint sensor is not perfect. It's still a really good fingerprint sensor, but it is one of the only flaws I've really found with this phone. So it is a good sensor, but it is still an optical fingerprint sensor, and it's not ultrasonic. A lot of those ultrasonic fingerprint sensors, they are a little bit faster, and they do work a little bit more regularly. Now, this fingerprint sensor, it does work about 95% of the time. It still works in almost every occasion, but if you have very dry hands, it won't work as well, and it can be just a hair slower than some other sensors on the market. So it's not perfect, but it's still a really good sensor, and I don't think it's that big of a deal when you consider that that's one of the only flaws that this phone really has. It's a great phone that's super fast, and this phone is very, very good when you consider the value and when you consider how much it costs compared to other competitors, and when you factor in all the AI smarts and everything else. Now, there is one thing I really have to mention, and that is that Google is now offering 7 years of operating system updates, and that is not only operating system updates, but even security patches, all that stuff. It is very exciting to see that on the Pixel 8 and also on the Pixel 8 Pro as well, so props to Google for that promise. If you want the best of the best, if you need a really nice zoom lens on your camera, then yes, the Pixel 8 Pro, the S23 Ultra, or the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Those are the 3 best phones, in my opinion, in the US market. Absolutely. But if you're a bargain hunter who doesn't need a zoom lens, and you're okay with a little bit less resolution on your display, you're still getting over 1080p. It's an amazing, amazing display. So I would highly, highly recommend the Google Pixel 8 to those of you who aren't going to use that zoom lens or that telephoto lens. But outside of that, you're going to get almost the same phone. If you're not going to use that video boost feature, if you just want gorgeous photos, amazing video quality, if you want a lot of these AI features, I would recommend this over the Galaxy S23. I would recommend it over the S23 Plus. I would recommend it for those people who want Google Pixels, but they want a smaller version of the Google Pixel. It is a tremendous phone, and it's a great phone for those of you who want most of the Pro features, but you still want to save money. Let me know what you think in the comments, and a great way to support my channel. Check those links, by the way, in the description if you're looking to make a purchase. And you could also become a member on my channel for 99 cents if you just feel like getting some priority in the comments and other things. I would really love that, and I'll, of course, really appreciate that. Also, you could sub to my channel. That's another thing you could do. That would be great for me. And you could watch some other videos if you get some time, or like this video. And I really hope, by the way, that you have a great day, because life is crazy. I hope you enjoy whatever smartphone you buy, and I really, really do hope you enjoy your week.